I'd like to explain to you why it is that Democrats and the left tend to be losing. We just saw this blowout victory for conservatives. I'll have a little bit more on this for my main channel segment at 4 p.m. But this story right here, U.S. military opens investigation after West Point cadets and Annapolis midshipmen appeared to flash white power hand signs during the live broadcast of the Army-Navy game. This story exemplifies exactly why the left and the Democrats are losing. Their core influence base, the thought leaders of the left, are in a tiny, tiny bubble on social media, on Twitter. There was a really interesting thing I saw. It was being shared by a lot of Trump supporters following the blowout victory by Boris Johnson in the UK. If you're not following that, I'm sorry I've been away for the past few days. You can tell my voice is still kind of messed up. But wow, the conservatives swept. I'm sure many of you watch Sargon of Akkad. He's a UK YouTuber, and he's been covering this. Labour, which is their version of the Democrats, kind of wiped out. The liberal Democrats, are more far left, basically wiped out. And I'll tell you why. In this comment on Reddit that was being shared, it said, I think this election shows us how much of a bubble social media is. It doesn't represent the country, the world. If you go on Reddit and you read comments, and I've got some comments to show you about this. These people live in a paranoid reality. They live in a fake universe. And they point the finger at Trump supporters and Republicans and conservatives in the UK saying, you guys believe fake news, when in reality, it's them. These journalists, here's how I've described it in the past. It's a maelstrom, right? Like a whirlpool. And it's getting smaller and smaller, and people are being ejected from it. So I've been a lifelong liberal. I was ejected from it a long time ago when they started going nuts. So it's spinning tighter and tighter. You have these journalists all sharing stories with each other, all saying the same thing, and then people believe it. So take a look at this story. What you're seeing here is the circle game. You all know this. I've talked about this. We all get it. They're now going to launch an investigation into a bunch of what's essentially like high school kids, college kids, playing a game. That's it. That's it, playing a game. These people are not on the internet, okay? Because the left is on the internet nonstop, they see this and they live in a paranoid reality where it means, white power, when in reality, most regular, sane people who live in the real world view it as the circle game, which means you hold it down, you make the symbol. If someone sees it, you get to punch them. We all know this. It's been covered a million times. Those photos of cops doing it, of, military men doing it, sailors doing it, it's always the same thing, being held low because it is a game. What happens when you combine the influence of the media with this ever-tightening small net of extremist leftists who live in a paranoid state? Jeremy Corbyn, right? Leader of the Labour Party, nuts. You get far left Democrats like AOC with tons of followers on Twitter, so people are going to fall in line like that must be what people want. They go up on the debate stage and they say, we're going to give health care to non-citizens. It's insane. Absolutely insane. So this is basically the story. You don't need me to elaborate much more beyond they're literally going to be investigating a game. And sure enough, the media starts framing it as a white power hand gesture because a bunch of insane activists who live in a paranoid, delusional state are telling people that's what it means, when it doesn't. But let's do this. I have some Reddit comments I want to show you and to explain this phenomenon. The story is possible white power hand signs at Army-Navy game probed. Oh, heavens. Possible white power hand signs. The top comment. Possible my A. It's a person playing the circle game, and if you think it's otherwise, you are part of the problem. Bravo, good sir. You can see that's the top comment. But what does the response say? I just want to point out, back when 4chan came up with the plan to make this a racist symbol as a troll, and before white supremacists decided they loved the idea so much they started doing it all the time, they made it really clear that part of the reason was so when racists got caught doing it, they had plausible deniability to mock people who pointed out its new racist meanings. That is fake. That is not true. Someone said, which is how I'm sure a crazy person thinks of the situation. That is correct. The goal was to take a ubiquitous symbol, for the most part, right? I don't want to ascribe meaning to to everyone's motive when they started pushing this, but the general idea was it's a ubiquitous symbol. They wanted to make it into a racist symbol. That's about it. Then they can show all of these different photos. I think I might have some photos. So there's a video of it. So they could do this. Oh no, look at all of these people flashing a white power hand gesture. It's also the same hand sign that means three-pointer, so people do it in basketball all the time. You got AOC doing it. The goal wasn't so that you could be like the racists could hide among the crowd, because that wouldn't convey a message at all. That literally makes no sense. This is a cop-out to try and claim the circle game is racist. This right here, the PM me with nothing who says it's an attempt. They were trying to make it so that racists could hide. What? That makes no sense. If you want people to support your, meme or whatever, they need to know exactly what it means. And if the OK symbol only means I'm making you triggered, that's literally all it means, then how is anyone going to secretly understand someone else is a racist? The point is, let's say it's meant to symbolize your support for a tribe, which is probably the best way to put it. It's when you make the OK sign with your fingers pointing up, not down. So let's talk about the point of the symbol, okay? These cadets that are doing it, the circle game, do you think Trump supporters see that and go, they're secretly on our side, or that like the Klan is looking at that going like, good work, brothers? No, because it doesn't mean anything. So you have white supremacists doing it to screw with the media. Notably that one really notorious guy I'm not going to name because I don't want to get in too much trouble. But the reason they're doing it, as expressed by this individual, was to sow division. So here's the main point that I want to talk about. This is not the first time this has happened, and it's not the last time I'll talk about it because it's going to happen again. But the main takeaway is how the media and these leftists on Twitter see this stuff, and I'll show you the video. Brooklyn Dad Defiant says, as an American, as a Navy dad, as a decent human being, you hate to see racist West Point cadets emboldened by the presence of the racist in chief at an Army-Navy game to throw up the white power sign on national TV. Disgusting. This is insanity. This idea doesn't exist outside of Twitter. So I'll tell you exactly what some of these racists want. They want these guys to be branded as racist so that their lives are destroyed and they have no choice but to choose a side. Because I'll tell you this, there is the side of sane, rational thought. People like me, I'm not overtly partisan, but you can tell I'm really angry with the psychosis of the left, right? That's like this is a good example too of where I am politically. This is insane, okay? You want me to align with these lunatics? No, I live in the real world. And my political views and even my social views lean left. What am I supposed to do about it? These people are nuts. So here I am, standing alongside the rest of the people who live in the real world. But these cadets are being investigated now. And you mean to tell me that they knew what this meant? They did not. They're not on Twitter. What is it, like 20% of the country is on Twitter? 80% are not. These are kids who are technically just in school, training, from West Point cadets. Some of the finest of the nation, I would say, those who are seeking to serve this country. I will reserve saying they're like the greatest of all people, but I have respect for those who, are coming in with the service mentality, and I have tremendous respect for the people who serve in the armed forces. I do not have tremendous respect for the people who lead them into senseless wars, but it's a whole other issue. That's why I like Tulsi, notably, because she is a service member. There's a lot of respect behind that. But anyway, the point is, you're just kids, man. They're not really kids, they're young adults, but they're playing a game. And these lunatics on Twitter spread around this nonsense. 10,000, look at this, 9,616 retweets since yesterday at 6 p.m. And then West Point sees this and says, whoa, what happened? We don't know. We're not journalists. Journalism is dead. I'll tell you that right now. And this is the clearest understanding of why the left loses. So I'll go back to that point I was making. One of the goals of the racists, not necessarily of 4chan, was to ruin people, to ruin these guys' lives, right? So now they're going to go back, they're going to face an investigation, and guess who is going to be on their side? Trump supporters and politically homeless liberal types like me. We're going to be like, that's BS, these guys did nothing wrong, and that's going to create a clear delineation between who they can or can't support. 'Cause I'll tell you this, when you see Bernie Sanders, Warren, the rest of them, whoever else, were on that stage saying they were going to give health care to non-citizens, that is the equivalent of smearing some young person who was playing a game. And therein lies the big problem. This guy gets 10,000 retweets because he's just insane. And he lives in a paranoid, delusional state. People share this because they just, It's weird. It's hard to explain what this is, but it's not good faith. It's not reality. There's no reason to believe they're doing anything other than playing a game. But they want the brownie points. They want the internet points, right? So these guys are gonna leave now confused. They're gonna look it up and they're gonna be like, dude, this is insane. Trump supporters are gonna walk on by and give them a high five and a handshake and say, ignore them, man, they're nuts. And they're right. And this creates a circumstance where the left ends up losing everything because of this. So here's what you have. There are certain YouTubers, progressives, I won't name them. I think they purposefully toe this line, even though they know it's false. Absolutely. And I know the reason why I won't name them is because they say the same thing about me. They say, oh, Tim knows better. He's just saying these things. Nah, sorry, man. I hate to say it, but I live in reality. I do. It was crazy to me when I was on the Joe Rogan podcast and Joe asked me about it. And I'm like, no, dude, it's a circle game. This is insane. And Jamie, I think the guy was interrupting, being like, no. I had a lot of people saying like, wow, he's never chimed in that much. These people live in a psychotic world. Here's what happens. These are the most vocal elements of the left. My friends, like I was just talking to a friend of mine, knew nothing about this. Oh, I will blow your mind right now. A friend of mine, I said, did you know that in Virginia, they were proposing like essentially no limit full-term abortion? And she said, that's BS. It's not true, that no one would do that. And I said, yeah, it is. And so I pulled up the video of the Kathy Tran, where she's saying there's no limits. And she's asked by someone on this committee, if the mental health of the woman is affected, what's the limit on abortion? And she says, I don't think there is one. Literally the bill, whether on purpose or not, would make it so that a woman who's 9 months pregnant, who was on the verge of birthing a child, could abort the baby. I showed her the video and I sent her a link to the bill. The bill failed, to my understanding, but she didn't know this. And then I also showed her that during the impeachment inquiry, several of the major networks didn't show the Biden quid pro quo video. And I said, listen, this is why the left is going insane, and it's also why the left is losing. Because my friends, who have basically the same views as me, aren't paying attention, and these are the people who are leading the charge. You then get, Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, and all these other people who then start saying, what's the left saying? And they look to the high-profile leftists, and that's what you get. Sorry, man. I don't know what to tell you. But I will tell you this. Same people who voted in Barack Obama voted in Donald Trump. And if you think they're all bigots or whatever, you're nuts. I think Count Dankula summed it up really well when he tweeted something to the effect of, perhaps the reason that the Labor lost is because they didn't call the white working class racist enough. Guess what? In this spectacular defeat of the left in the UK, they're doubling down. Jeremy Corbyn said, we won the argument, but we didn't convince the majority. Wait, what? That literally means you lost the argument. The Independent writes an article saying how to leave the UK. There's another article saying, you get the point. There was another article that said the left has created a movement that's unstoppable. And I'm like, you were literally just stopped. You were stopped. Because in the real world, people care about the economy, man. So I'll tell you what, faced with this paranoid delusional reality where young people playing a stupid punch them in the shoulder game becomes Nazis around every corner, then they start advocating for things nobody wants. You know what? Here's what I want you to do. I'm going to explain this to you. And I've explained this before. Search for Finger Family, Incredible Hulk, and I don't know, Hitler or something. And you will see the most psychotic and deranged videos you've ever seen. This is algorithmic chaos. And I should do like a longer report on this. Maybe I'll commission somebody. Basically what happens is these people know that white power or condemning it gets you quick brownie points from people who don't pay attention. On YouTube, this video of the Hulk dancing with Hitler, it's because they're buzzwords that have a lot of weight to them. So it's Tai Chi, it's singing Finger Family, it's all the things YouTube wanted, and it creates a psychotic reality. That's where these people live. And the easiest way to explain it, I've explained it before, but I'll say it again for the sake of this video. The more keywords you put in videos, and you'll notice I do this too. Absolutely, I do this, okay? The more keywords in a video, the more networks it reaches. So if I make a video called like you know, the left is insane. The left is a keyword that will target a community. If I put like leftist Democrats are insane, it will target leftist and Democrats. Keywords are how it plays. You'll notice I do this in a lot of my videos. I'll say like far left Democrats. Well, I did that. I reserve that one because I think that's actually fair. Saying like far left Democrat is a direct reference. But saying things like I will use Democrat instead of a name because it reaches a larger audience. However, what I try to do when I make videos like this is, yes, you'll notice that I may be a bit verbose in the description to try and reach as many people as possible. In the actual content, I'm hoping that people will click it and then get a rational take that kind of, you know, walks away from the far ends of things. I'm not saying I'm perfect, but I am recognize I do much of this. Now, here's the difference. Vice, for instance, will write an article called Trans Women of Color Are Targets of Police Brutality, and you have trans women, color, police, brutality, all in one. So intersectionality is the end result of the algorithmic hunt. These companies are trying to figure out which content will reach the most people. That's exactly how they do it. They're not reasonable, though, because their end goal is money. These people do the exact same thing. American, Navy dad, West Point, racist in chief, white power. It's all there. It's all there, and you can see it. You can see how they do this. There are the retweets. Congratulations. The problem is it doesn't represent the real world. It only represents the people who will click on your tweet. The less than, 25 or so % of people who are actually on Twitter. The Democratic candidates see the virality of it and say, that's what people want. And then the conservatives in the UK destroy the left. I think we're going to see something similar happening. So stick around. You can tell my voice is kind of messed up. I'm doing my best. Thanks. I really do appreciate it, man. It was a nightmare not being able to work. To everybody who's listening to my scratchy voice, you have my profound gratitude and respect. Stick around. Next segment is coming up at 4 p.m. YouTube.com/Timcast. I will see you all there.